Hey everybody, what's going on? What's going on? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining in. I see we got some people here on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Thank you guys so much for joining in. Very excited to share this information that we have prepared for you today. So if you're joining in right now, feel free to comment, let us know who you are, where you're joining in from, and we can go from there. But very excited. We're about to get started in just a minute here. Just waiting for a little bit more people to join in so they don't miss out. But hope your day, your week is going well. See, we got some more people joining in. Thank you for joining in. Feel free to comment where you're coming from, where you're joining in, what city you're in. All right, see Jesus Avalon from Frost Bank. Thank you for joining. Got Frost Bank in the house, so we appreciate that. Thank you guys for your support and being here. Okay. Yeah, well, we got some fun stuff today to talk through. For those that have been on here with us since day one, thank you for joining, Catalina. For those who've been on here since day one, we started this thing back in May, and today it's October 16th, and this is our sixth virtual summit event. This is our last one of the year, and we're very excited for to wrap this up and kind of tie everything back in to the full picture of really what this is all about, which is just helping entrepreneurs, business owners transition from the day-to-day hustle in their business to the growing and scaling part of their business. So with that, we're going to get started. As you guys probably already know, my name is Wendell, and I am a business growth coach, author, public speaker, and essentially support a lot of entrepreneurs and helping them in their transitional phase of their business to growing. And as I mentioned earlier, basically we created this summit. It's called the Hustle Growth Summit, which is really dedicated to helping service-based entrepreneurs shift from the day-to-day hustle to growth side of their business. And the way that we're doing that is through this virtual summit events that we have going on, this being the sixth one, and then obviously our in-person one that's coming up this year. And I got some really great information about that towards the end. So definitely make sure to stay on to gather more information on how you can be a part and attend this event as well. And then also we provide knowledge, tools, and network needed for success. So a lot of times what we love to tell people, is that your network is your currency, and also your network is your net worth, right? So a lot of times people do forget that the people that are around them are the most influential and can actually help them get to the next level, only if they're able and willing to listen and also understand what each other's strengths are, and is able to leverage that to support one another, depending on what path or journey that you're trying to embark on. So a little bit about myself. For those, again, that don't know me or tuning in for the first time, my name is Wendell Jean-Jules. I was born and raised in Boston, currently residing in Texas, in Dallas, Texas. And basically, a little bit about my stories. Grew up with a single parent mother who generally loved her family and loved us and just poured into us. But luckily, obviously, she passed away when I was younger, at the age of 13. And I experienced a lot of death in my lifetime. But one big thing that has always stayed constant is obviously my faith in Christ, and just really just knowing that He's always paved the way for me, and He's always made an opportunity for me to do and apply the gifts that He's given me to help others. I went to Northeastern University, graduated, got my BA in entrepreneurship and marketing, went to grad school at Grenoble in France to get my international marketing certificate, started my first business right out of high school. And, essentially throughout the years, I've worked for corporate America, supporting a lot of their marketing initiatives within their organizations. And then obviously have started numerous businesses throughout the years, scaled some and basically grew them, and really just have been a pillar in really just being able to try to help other entrepreneurs see really what it means to actually have a successful business and grow and continue to make impact. Some fun things about me is, obviously I'm a business growth coach, published author, inspirational transformational speaker, serial entrepreneur, and I love to volunteer and support young adults. It's really a big passion of mine. And a lot of what we do through my company, it really funnels into us being able to support young adults and from grade 11 all the way through college, and providing them with free resources to support them through their entrepreneur journey and trying to start businesses. So if you want to get in contact with me, some information there, feel free to reach out. And then also you can find me on any of these social channels just by putting in my name. I should pop up. As far as WJJ Brands, I want to give a big thanks to them. It is my baby. It is my company. And essentially what we do is we are a business development, brand, and digital marketing agency. Essentially, WJJ Brands is putting on this entire summit. And basically we do graphic design, web design, social media marketing, paid ads, marketing funnels, lead ad campaigns, all the fun things that most business owners typically need support in. So if you know of anybody or you need these services yourself, feel free to reach out. Started in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina, built our company and team in London, and then also now in Dallas, Fort Worth, which is where we serve as well. So again, feel free to follow us on any of these channels. Now, if we're going to dive into this again, for those who have been part of this process, this journey, and attending some of the summits, this is one of the things that we do cover. It's really just trying to make sure people do understand what the business growth stages are, because the business growth stages do dictate, obviously where you can possibly go, and also really being able to get a grasp of how you can support your team and grow and build process systems, which we're going to cover today as well. But again, depending on who's on this call, some of you might fall under the solopreneur, the new employer, the steady operations, 7-figure business growth company. Our goal really is to try to help you understand some of these processes that would eventually get you to the growth company stage, if that's obviously something that you really want to do. I understand not everybody wants to have a huge team or build a mega company, and that's completely, again, optional and up to you. But if you are on this call and you're a solopreneur, a new employer that is essentially working a full-time job, but also running your business on the side, or full-time in your business, but don't have any support or employees or anyone to really delegate work to kind of free up your time, then typically, I would say this is going to be a really good call for you, because then we're going to cover some of these things as well, around systems that can really help free up your time, but also allow you to be able to do more work and do great things, and support the people that you need, that you're serving in your business. So I'm not going to go into all this, but it does make hopefully this makes sense. Typically these stages, they talk about the level of employees that you would have as you're improving and reaching these stages. Typically how much sales, these are just averages. These are not set numbers, but typically when you start to creep into around 100,000, a little bit more of the people typically would have another person, an admin or somebody that supports them, or the partner or CEO, co-founder that might be supporting them, each other, to essentially get to another level. But again, this is very straightforward. But if you have any questions about this, feel free to comment and ask any questions through the chat, and then we can definitely cover it. And then finally, quick recap, right, of the last virtual summit events that we did have. So we had the first one, which was in May. So all these QR codes that you do see here will take you to the previous summit events that we did do, in case if you missed some of the items or the information that was essentially provided to support possibly you in your journey to growing your business. The first one that we covered was all about mindset. We had Ben Bauer tune in, and he was a mindset coach to really kind of talk through the mindset aspect of being ready to transition from a hustle mindset to a growth mindset, and what does that look like as you're running and starting a business. Then to the second one event that we had, which was really understanding how to crack your ideal client persona, and really being able to create laser focused marketing strategies. The third one was all about social AI. And we have Lysander, who's on the call with us as well, to be able to, and he's an AI expert. And he talked literally about how to leverage AI into your business, but then also I went further by even explaining how you can create 30 days of social media content within your business within less than 10 minutes. And then the event we had in August, we talked about creating an irresistible offer that can attract and convert high quality leads within your business, which was a very powerful segue into really being able to understand how you can engage and reach more people. So then you can continue to build your pipeline of leads. And then our last one that we did last month was all about lead nurturing. So understanding what is a lead, and then also the systems that essentially processes that you should be thinking about as you're going through building and systemizing your business. And then that segues into really everything that we're going to talk about today, which is the foundation of a business, and some of the pillars that are going to be really important for you to understand as you're looking to grow and be in position to make impact within your business. So for today's agenda, we're going straight into it. First one's going to be why systems matter for growth, right? That's one of the biggest things, right? We need to understand why systems are important, right? Sometimes I know as entrepreneurs, when you first get into something, you're wearing all these hats, and you're doing all these things manually. And I'll get into some examples around, some examples of what some clients have told us and how we've just been able to automate some of these processes for them. The next thing that we're going to cover would be what are the 4 pillars of scaling systems, which we're going to talk through, and then defining the ways to measure the success of the systems that you do implement and build, and then obviously some next steps to scaling your business using those systems, and then the common pitfalls to avoid, and then we'll do a Q&A. So we're going to get through this pretty quick today, guys. I'm very excited to dive into this topic of your business foundation, right? And systems, right? So let's get into it. So why do systems matter for growth, right? So the concept behind it is that growth is a combination of effective systems and expanding teams, right? And typically, as you're building a team, if you don't have systems, then it becomes more complicated to be able to delegate, to be able to know what needs to be done, to be able to essentially pass on work to free up your time so then you can focus on things, but also to identify areas of opportunities within your business that might be able to free up your time to be able to do more and serve more, right? Without scalable systems, growth can lead to chaos and inefficiencies. I've seen this so much throughout my career as being a business owner, and also being in corporate America, and just kind of really being able to see that typically the companies that are a lot more successful typically have better systems, right? They streamline the process. and they understand the journey that a potential buyer is going through. Again, if you missed that section, that summit version of understanding your client and your lead journey for your clients, this really applies to that, because typically with any lead that you have, there's a process you want to take them through. And if you're doing a lot of this manually, then you probably say you're not really utilizing, maximizing the amount of time that you would have to be able to focus on the growth of the business. Establishing the right foundations allows for smooth sailing, especially in service-based businesses. Now, typically, I would say for this particular summit, we are going to be focusing a lot on professional-based business services type businesses, right? But across the line, of course, this stuff can apply in other areas of business. But by understanding the foundations of what is the core of your business and how it actually can be improved on, really will make a big difference in you being able to scale and put the right people in place. So common growing pains that we typically see with entrepreneurs that are going through this phase, right, of having a business but working in it too much that they don't have the time to grow it, is time management issues, right, with growing client base. If you're spending a lot of time, right, trying to acquire a new client, doing the same processes day in, day out without really automating or understanding what type of journey you want to take them through, then unfortunately you're losing a lot of time, which then time equates to how much money you're losing, right? One thing that we actually have done, which is actually really interesting, and it's not in this presentation, but it just came to mind, is that we actually have created a time formula, like essentially how much is your time worth, right? And a lot of times people don't really understand what that means. And they also don't understand how much is a client worth, right? The time that you spend, right, doing something. Let's say you spend 3 hours doing the same repetitive task, right? And we take it back to how much do you actually want to make in a year? We take it back to how many hours do you want to work in a year? How many weeks do you want to work, down to basically the amount of allocated time that you want to dedicate to a particular project. There's actually a number that can be generated to be able to specifically tell you how much your time is worth, right? So depending on the size of your business or where you're trying to take it, we can literally reverse engineer it and tell you how much is an hour of your time worth, right? Now, the reason why that is important, right, is because what happens is that sometimes, yeah, as a starting entrepreneur, we want to dedicate so much time into getting so many things done. But what ends up happening is that when you try to do everything yourself, you end up really missing out on so many opportunities, right? Because one, let's say if I'm dedicating 5 hours to a repetitive task that could have been automated and done in an hour. If my hourly rate is $500, let's say, right? $500 times me wasting 5 hours in a week equates to $2,500. Now, if you put it in that perspective of like, oh my gosh, like I'm spending this much time doing something, would it be easier to just hire somebody for a quarter of that, for half of that, which then would free up your time to be able to really do the things that helps you grow your business. So I know, again, this wasn't part of the conversation, but it just came to mind, and I felt like whoever's on this call is probably going to appreciate that information. But also think about that, right? Even when you go to networking events, you spend time networking, listening, trying to engage with people, but what does that do, right? Ultimately, how much is that costing you, right, throughout the year? So those are some things that, again, we have to go back into and really think about. But again, to continue on, right, some of the other common growing pains we would see is the lack of delegation or inefficient delegation, right? If you don't understand or have your process documented, then you're going to experience a lot of this, right? difficulty maintaining consistent service quality across the team, right? So again, if not having a process documented would lead to this, right? If you hired two individuals that do something similar, but then you get a new client, now you have to delegate work to them, but there was no process or SOP in place to say, hey, this is how we proceed with doing this particular task. This is the timeline of how long this is supposed to take. Then typically what's going to happen is that you're going to get different people on your team doing different things, which then requires you to go back and check on everything, then requires now you're spending time micromanaging the process rather than building efficiencies within the business, right? So these are other things, right, that we're gonna cover again to kind of help you really truly understand the importance, but also how to actually build systems that work for your business so that you continue to grow. And the last thing really is increased complexity in managing people, tools, and resources, right? Again, kind of back to a little bit what I was just saying before. So let's talk about the pillars, right? We got 4 pillars of scaling systems. Number 1 is automation, right? Now, what does automation mean in this scenario? Automate would be automating a repetitive task to free up time for value-adding activities, right? So think of it this way, right? If you, for example, come across and you meet a few people on a day-to-day basis and you get 10 business cards, right, from an event that you went to. If you now go home and you sit there and you have to type in an email custom to every single individual that you met, how much time are you dedicating and spending to do that, right? So let's say roughly you spend 5 to 10 minutes drafting out an email, putting some type of messaging, a link to your calendar, whatever it might be. And then now you're doing that for each and every business card that you have. You just spent, let's say, 10 minutes on each one, just to, obviously account for spelling errors and things of that nature. You just basically spent, 10 minutes. So that would take you about 100 minutes, which would be about 1 hour and 40 minutes of your time that you just spent trying to do one task that probably could have been automated, and you could have uploaded into a system, and then that system literally would have sent out a chain of emails. You could have scheduled them out, and then that in itself, you spending the time building that system might have cost you about 2 to 3 hours of just creating that, building it, systemizing it, and then once everything is in there, then now whenever you input information, it automatically pulls it from whatever tag you may have had established, and then that email automatically goes out. And you can customize the email to have certain tags. You can put where you met the person and just leave that as a source, and then it'll pre-fill that in. You can put little information. Maybe you may have gotten some highlight information that you want to highlight, and you put that into your data, and then now that pre-populates in the email. And then now literally taking 10 business cards and putting them in, spending 10 minutes doing that would have freed up your time, right, to 10 minutes instead of 100, basically 100 minutes, which is an hour and 40 minutes of your time. Now you got 1 hour and 30 minutes to do something else, right, that you probably wouldn't have been able to do if you didn't automate the process. Process documentation's the next aspect of the pillar, which is really important. Automating, basically, once you understand your process and document it, what it does, it allows you to automate repetitive tasks So actually, basically, I'm going to give you what this process documentation means. In this scenario, what that would mean is going through your entire process, right, and looking at it and saying that if I first encounter this person here, these are the things that needs to be done, right? And you document, right? Okay, if I bring on this new client for a graphic design project, they need a logo, right? What is the steps that I'm having to take, right? How many emails am I sending out? Am I giving them access to a client portal? Is there a questionnaire that needs to be done? Is there follow-ups in that process that need to be completed? So I'm documenting literally the entire process. Now, the reason why documenting that process makes sense is because, God willing, if something ever happened to you and you're the only person that has everything in your head in how you process, how you run your business, then what ends up happening is that if you got taken out by something and now you got new clients, new business coming in, you have an admin or a team member, but everything is being done manually through your process in your own head and it's not documented, how can you expect somebody to step in and support you and help you with those particular tasks, right? And documenting the process, what that does is that essentially it's like a guide, it's like a blueprint to your process and procedures of your business. So then that way you can be able to easily delegate that to somebody else, right? Or you can look at it and find out, okay, these are some of the bottlenecks, the inefficiencies that I might be able to improve on to make the customer experience better, to make the business experience better. So the documenting process, the process documentation is really important. And we'll cover that a little bit more as well. Technology integration, using the right tools and streamlining workflow. So again, your technology stack is going to be really important when it comes to scaling. And again, I know as starting businesses, a lot of times we don't have the resources to be able to invest in all types of technology. But if you spend the time to research or speak to the right individuals that understand your business and understand what you have to offer, then it actually will make it a lot easier for you to make sure you have the right tools and systems that can allow you to build and automate a lot of the process and document it. Then the last aspect of it is team empowerment, right? So again, like I said, building systems also is a prerequisite to you essentially building and bringing in other team members, right? And the reason why I say that is because when you bring in those team members, you want to be able to train them, but also empower them on these specific tasks to make things a little bit more easier, right? And in order to do that, by understanding your process and for them to understand your process, it'll make the process of how you communicate and obviously inefficiencies of you having to cross check a little bit less of a pain, right? So we're going to go into the first pillar, which is automation, automating key functions. So number one, identifying repetitive tasks. So if you're sending out invoicing manually, if you're sending out appointment schedulings manually, client onboarding, these are examples of repetitive tasks that a lot of people are doing, especially as a business owner, right? A lot of these things can be automated if, again, you can take your process and your system and your services and fully map them out to be able to automate it. The other aspect of it is investing in automation software. There's CRMs that are out there that will allow you to do that, right? The last session we talked about, we had our system specialist, Jesse, who joined us for her business. She runs a systems consulting agency, and she literally talked through how HoneyBooks can automate and systemize some of the processes that she does when it comes to booking vendors, when it comes to registering, people through her database and her CRM, when it comes to scheduling. So again, there's tools out there. So HoneyBook's a good one. We have Dubsado, we have Salesforce. Obviously, if you're a smaller business, probably wouldn't recommend it because this is probably a little bit more pricey, depending on where you are in your business financially, of course. You have HubSpot. All of these tools are really great tools that you can basically invest in. But again, the investment of you paying to use those and utilize those softwares in return should free up your time, which then makes it, again, going back to how much is your time worth. If you can understand what your time is worth, then understanding how much you're investing in a software shouldn't be too complicated, right? Automate lead generation and follow-up workflows, right? So some of these systems typically have these things built in And again, if you need help figuring this out, you can contact us, right? We can gladly do a free consultation to walk you through some of the systems and understand what systems that you're utilizing to really, again, continue to build and grow your business. Process documentation, right? So creating scalable processes, document workflow for consistency is some of the things we talked about. Use templates and checklists for key tasks. So one thing that we use within our business, we have a full idea of almost every type of email that we're going to send out. And then we actually build what we call canned emails that essentially are already built into our CRM. So if there is a moment where we need to actually send something out that may not have gotten sent out, all we got to do is click on that canned email, read through it, make sure everything is fine, hit send, done, right? So again, but that goes back to really just generally understanding your process, right? And how you can deliver at a high level. We have workflows in our system right now that if somebody comes in as a lead, but then we go through a call and they don't like actually schedule a call, and then they'll get a couple automations from that. It would highlight specific tasks as reminders to us. So then we can be reminded that we need to do this follow-up or check-in to basically, once they become a client, to them getting access in the automated email, from contracts and service agreement to invoice to getting an automated email welcoming them and giving them access to the client portal, to them getting access to the questionnaires. So all of these things, again, we had thought through fully in order to save us time in the long run, right? Because the thing about growth, right? There's so many people who want to grow their business so quick, but the moment you start growing your business so fast and you don't document your process, then now you're going to spend so much time just trying to fulfill orders, fulfill things. And then now your quality of work is going to get compromised, right? Which you don't necessarily want. So it's really important that as you're continuing to progress your business, that you figure out, what are the things that I need to document? What are the processes that I'm going through? How do I systemize and automate these things? The next thing is technology integration. We mentioned building a high performing team. But in order to do that, choosing the right tools that integrate seamlessly, right? Project management softwares, right? There's ClickUp, right, which we've used before. There's Notion, right? There's all these other great tools and platforms out there that you can essentially use to be able to integrate seamlessly and be able to keep track of where you are, right? And by being able to go through and understand, okay, well, if everybody that I communicate with has to go through these steps in this journey, and I do go through this journey, what are the common things, right? And by being able to extract those common things, it allows you to literally say, okay, well, I can add a little bit of improvement here, right, in my business. Avoid tool overload, right? That's another thing too, right? A lot of people, they hear about technology and they want to try everything, right? They'll sign up for free trials for every single technology, but then won't actually commit to something, right? And back in the day, I did that too, right? I've had 30 days, try this out for 30 days, and I want to go through, try to master it, and then implement it and see if it works. But guess what? Systems take time, but it also takes you going through and evaluating, right? Not every technology is going to be for you. And the issue also that a lot of business owners do experience as we go through the process of helping them understand technology, but the systems and the tools, is that by having so much technology, a lot of times the technology don't communicate with each other, right? And the moment you have disconnect in different technologies, because you're using so many different tech stacks within your business, then you're going to lose information that's really important and pivotal for you to be able to actually make the best decision for either a client or for your business, or as you're trying to plan for the following year or the upcoming years in your database, right? And kind of back to what we were talking about when we were talking about building your workflows in some of the past sessions, right? Um, if I know that there's a process from awareness to basically a client purchasing something, in between that, I need to make sure that everything is being tagged, right? And a lot of times, because again, we pay for technology, and I'm sure some of you guys on this, right? And you guys can probably put a thumbs up or something in the chat. But how many times have you probably gotten into technology, you invested in it, but then you realize you're not using half of the things that this platform or technology has to offer, right? I see it so many times, right? And sometimes you'll buy into a software and then buy into another one. But one of those software, the software that you're buying might have a booking system, but the main software that you invested into literally probably has all of the same information, right? It has a booking system, it has email marketing, but then you choose to go invest in a separate email marketing system. You choose to go invest in a separate booking system. You choose to go invest in a different CMS system. So then now you're paying for all of these systems, and most of them don't really work because you're just trying all these things out, but none of those systems are talking to each other, right? So again, that just comes back to again being able to centralize the data for better decision making and transparency by having these technologies right in place. And I see Jesus said, I see a thumbs up. Yeah, it's very common. Trust me, I see it all the time. Team empowerment, right? So let's talk about that, right? As you're growing, you have to build a team, right? We talked about the growth stages, right? As you're continuing to move up the growth stage of the business growth stage in your business, you're going to have to bring on more support, right? And you're going to have to really, and again, by being able to understand your process, understand where are you spending the most time in your business, and then by being able to know that and document it, will tell you a couple of things. Number one, it'll tell you who to invest in next, right? For me, I'll give you a live example. When I first started the company, I was doing everything. I was doing logo design, I was doing web design, I was doing social media, I was doing email marketing. I was doing everything in the business, right? Now, granted, again, I was only self-funding it myself. I wanted to build it up so then I can actually plan and hire the right people. Me being a perfectionist, I knew that I can design logos and it'll take me about a week to perfect a couple of logo mock-ups, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how busy I got, right? And I knew that if I did not find someone else to bring into that role, that I would be the bottleneck in my business and I would hinder me being able to take on other projects and also continue to grow. So the first person I brought on was a graphic designer. Till this day, still with us. Grateful for them, grateful for my team. After that, I brought in a web designer, right? And again, in my process of picking and choosing the right team members, right, I knew that my graphic designer, he can design logos within a day. A couple of them, not just one, a couple, right? So me knowing that, okay, well, now I can support more clients at scale because even though I have a perfectionist mindset, I can guide and empower and train my team to see things and have processes around like what needs to be provided as far as the type of files, as far as the design, as far as the mock-ups. I already had a process documented. So whenever I brought in my graphic designer, he would already know that, okay, these are the things, these are the timelines that we have to stay within, right? So based off of that information, that allowed me again to continue to grow and scale on just the graphic design aspect. My web designer, he can spin off a website within a day or 2 days, right? Again, me being a perfectionist, I want to go through everything. So, and that might take me a week. But again, finding people that literally specialize in the things that take you the longest will free up your time to be able to do more work, and also continue to grow your business. And those are just two examples. We've hired other people, and literally it's because all of this is important, right? We have an amazing project manager. She's been supporting us even with this summit, putting together things, making sure that things are on task, right? I can plan things, but it's going to take me time. Now, if I have a graphic project manager that can oversee all the bigger picture items and be able to continue to improve my process and we can work on those things, then imagine how much more efficient we are now, right? So these are the things, right, that as you're going through it, being able to take your team, empowering them, invest in your team, invest in training, invest in developing them, it will also be able to allow you to continue to grow and scale, and then put them in decision-making roles where they have also that growth mindset, right? A lot of things that the people that I typically look for are people who have that growth mindset already. They're not going to be just the note takers. They're just going to take what I tell them and just do exactly that. I want them to be creative. I want them to think outside the box, right? I want them to also take initiative. And those are the people that I bring on, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be the person that's always micromanaging everybody, but I have to understand that there's a process and I have to trust the people that I'm bringing in. So with that, right, let's talk about measuring the effectiveness of your systems. So again, so many people have systems, but they have no way of measuring it, right? How successful is it? How much time is it saving you? These are things that you need to ask yourself as you're going through understanding your systems, right? By me having a booking system, how much time does that save me? Okay, so it might save you a couple of minutes, but now if you get on a call with somebody, as an example, right? And you sent them out your booking link, they fill it out, name, phone number, and email, and now they hit send. Now you get on a call, you have all these questions that you have to ask during that call, right? Think about it, right? You're going through this process, you're asking all these questions during this call. Now imagine knowing what those common questions are in advance. If you took those questions and put it in the question in the pre-fill out form when they're scheduling the call, how much time is that saving you? Right? Because now you can get really down to the nitty gritty of what the problem is that you're trying to solve for that particular client, because now you already got pre-qualifying information to determine if you're even going to be a good fit for this person or not. Right? So in order to measure that, really, you have to be able to look at, okay, what am I, again, going back to your process and refining it to say, how is it that I can improve what I'm doing, not only for myself, but for the client. So I'm maximizing my time, right? Because if you spend 5 minutes asking those questions and trying to get answers, and you only got a 30-minute call, how can you be as efficient to making sure that you're helping them try to solve a problem or present a solution that could really mitigate what they're going through, right? So again, that just goes back to that. Understand your KPI. So if you're able to track, and again, some of these tools, some of these systems do provide this. You know, if your initial part is they filled out a form, next thing is they need to schedule a call. Next thing is that they, there needs to be a follow-up process. Next thing is that they receive contract and service and, invoicing and all that. If you're understanding all this process, you'll be able to say that, okay, I had 100 people come in, and out of those 100 people, now I've only been able to get 10 people to close. Now, out of those 10 people, if you can analyze what led them going from just the awareness stage to actually buying something from you or agreeing to commit, then now you might be able to tweak some of the process, right? Because it's documented and you can analyze the data and say that maybe I jump on a call and only 50% of people show up on a call. Well, if 50% of people are showing up, maybe you need to send more reminder emails. Maybe you need to invest in SMS marketing and then send them text message reminders. Maybe your stuff's going to spam and you don't even realize it. But if you don't analyze and monitor this stuff, then you won't be able to be as efficient. And also, you won't really be able to track how well your team is performing, right? As far as results, as far as information. So again, these are things, again, that are really important when it comes to measuring the effectiveness of your systems. Now, here are your next steps to scaling, right? And obviously, we talked about a lot about really the process system, but now really what I want to give you is really kind of a guide, right, to some degree of how to build and start building your next steps to scaling, growing your business. Step number one, identifying, documenting, and audit your current processes. Everybody has a process as a business owner. Sometimes we make up our own processes, not knowing if it's a good process or not, but everybody has a process. If you know that somebody inquires and they give you a call and they said, hey, somebody referred me to you, and then now you got somebody's information through email, through a referral, you have a process of what needs to happen next, right? Either you're going to reply back to the email, or you're going to pick up the phone and give them a call, or you're going to have continuous follow-ups depending on the conversation. Everybody has a process. It's up to you to document what that looks like, so then you can be able to figure out, how do I make this more efficient and easy? Step number two, identify bottlenecks in the process and set clear, actionable goals to resolve those bottlenecks, right? Now, a bottleneck, basically, what this means is just that it's a process, it's built within your process. So, for instance, if you feel like you wear multiple hats in your business, you do the financing, you do the marketing, you do the calls, the sales, everything in your business, right? But there are certain things that you generally avoid trying to do, but you know you have to do it as a business owner, then essentially you are the bottleneck in that process, right? You're prohibiting something else from moving forward in your business, or you're prohibiting the growth in your business because either of a skill that either you may not be as strong in, or you don't have the resources to be able to systemize it and grow it. So then that way you take it off your plate and either allow someone else to handle it, or build a system that can actually support it, right? So being able to set those goals and say that, okay, well, through this process, this is what I need to do, right? These are the steps I need to take to get to X, Y, and Z, and then implementing that, right? So step number three is the research and implementation of the right tools and begin automating repetitive tasks, right? So once you've identified the bottleneck aspect and also other areas too, then now it's important to figure out, okay, well, I know I need a booking system. I know I need a place for CRM marketing. I know I need a place for text message marketing. I know I need a website. I know I need a form that people have to fill out. If you can understand all of these things that you're utilizing and find the right tools or systems that can support it, then now it's just you doing the research and then figuring out which tools and pros and cons are going to essentially support. And again, not every tool is going to be able to do everything, right? So don't also feel like because one tool says it does everything, that it is also the best tool for you, right? Sometimes you probably have to navigate a little bit away from that particular tool, right? Because at the end of the day, it may not be the best for you, right? Depending on how you're trying to track or analyze or automate some of your processes. And there's other tools like Zapier that's out there where you can essentially, it can take data from one area to the next. You might receive somebody fill out a form on your website, but then that form is not directly linked to, your CRM, and Zapier can literally take that information, package it, send it into your CRM with an appropriate tag. So then now it's tagged a particular way. And then now you can basically navigate and track the movement of that information or that person, right? So there's that. Step number 4 is empower your team with clear processes and training. All right, we talked about this as far as being able to know that, and again, this is things that you can teach your team members as well to do. I always tell my team members to think about what other ways can we improve your process, because at the end of the day, there's always a way to do something better, faster, and even possibly cheaper, right? Doesn't necessarily mean you have to go cheap, because cheap doesn't always guarantee that it's the best thing. But if it can save you time, then that possibly end up saving you some money, which then obviously balances out depending obviously what you feel like your investment is, to invest in that particular tool. Step number 5, set up metrics to track progress, evaluate, and adjust as needed. All right. Reason why this is important is because, again, metrics will tell you everything that you need to know. I can tell you this, right? I have a couple of clients that have come to us before, and they're like, hey, I need SEO work done, right? I'm like, why do you need SEO? Well, my friends and other business owners tell me SEO is the best thing for my business. I'm like, well, SEO is helpful, right, for what you're trying to do, but based off of my understanding of the nature of your business and what you're trying to do and the goals that you have, SEO might not be the best route at this moment, because again, it's a different process, and you probably are trying to reach more people a lot quicker now at a lower cost, and there's other alternatives that might support that. But in order for us to know that that actually works, we would have had to already test it and prove it with other clients, which we have. So in that scenario, the metrics and how we decide on how we educate and guide our clients is really based off of past metrics, right? So even for us as a business, we're looking at past metrics. We're looking at things that we've done for our clients in different tools and systems to see how efficient those tools are and can they be applicable to another client, right? So within your business, trying to figure out, okay, how do I track the performance of my sales team? How do I track the performance of my graphic designer? How do I track, if my team is doing what they're supposed to do throughout this process? But having a process will allow you to be able to evaluate each and every part of those processes. Step number 6, if all of this is complicated, again, I'm giving you these step-by-step processes, then you just seek out support through us, right? Or somebody else that you probably know is in your database, right? That generally understands systems and processes, right? Because at the end of the day, we can't be experts in everything, right? Hence why, as I told you earlier, I hire people that are 10 times smarter in the things that I know, or in greater and more efficient in certain things that they specialize in, right? Because I know that by doing that, it gives more flexibility for me to do things 10 times better and serve my clients at a higher level. And then also, again, with this being the final virtual summit, definitely come out to the in-person Hustle Growth Summit that we have coming up, right? We're going to have a lot of business owners, a lot of business people in that room, CPAs, doctors, psychologists, sales coach, like all types of people that are going to be in this room, HR executives, really talking about the things that you probably may not have seen or want to be able to be that you probably haven't implemented in your business, or you're trying to figure out how to get your business to that level. Those professionals will be in that room, and being able to be there, you'll be able to get the information, the knowledge from these individuals, so then actually how to continue to learn and apply these things into your business. Now, the example I'm going to share here, again, this might look familiar to you guys for whoever was on the last call, but this is a marketing machine that we've built that works very efficiently. We close a lot of sales through this process, and the entirety of this is automated up until we actually get on a call with them. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this and sharing this example out one more time is because I want to actually talk through what's in my system's toolbox to make this efficient, right? Because at the end of the day, right, we have to be able to look at the overall picture and how all of the things that I'm saying right now apply to real life things that we're using to generate leads, sales, and close on new business, right? This is a perfect example. So one thing that we're going to address here is, right, part of what we talked about before, we talked about taking from the awareness to taking a potential prospect from awareness to leads, right, to actually closing on a sale. And through this, there are different tools that we're using. The first one here is from the awareness side, right? From an awareness standpoint, what we are currently doing and continuously been doing has been running paid ads, right? And through those paid ads, we have a process that we track. And also we have a full metric that is reverse engineered to tell us how much is a lead going to actually cost us, right? Now, through that, we're running Facebook ads, Instagram ad, LinkedIn ad, and we can tell based off of which ones in the audiences, which ones are most effective. Again, because we're tracking the metrics, right? Going back to understanding tracking the metrics. So through that, the system we're using would be Facebook. Let's say we're going to use one channel. So one channel would be Facebook. Somebody sees the ad, they fill out the form, right? As soon as they fill out that form, we have Zapier, which is a technology software that you can invest in. Also, they have free aspects of it that you can use where you don't actually have to pay for anything up to a certain amount of zaps. And once they fill out that form, they automatically, through our Zapier system that we built and integrated, would get built and sent into our CRM, right? Which also is an API which is built into the Zapier system, right? Now, once they get built, sent into our CRM, we also have tagging mechanisms that are built into that system that we built when they got zapped into our CRM, which would tell us that they came from Facebook, which would tell us that they came in from an awareness campaign. It'll tell us, some other information that's really high level, important information and data that we can track and see where do they go throughout the process, right? So once that happens, they're in our CRM. Within that CRM, I have automated emails, right? We use for this particular funnel, we use Go High Level, right? That's a technology stack. And the reason why we use this technology is because they have a booking system already, even though I have my other booking system as well through a different platform. But because of the specific channel of marketing that we're tailoring for this audience and this unique offer that we're having, I am specifically utilizing Go High Level because Go High Level has the booking software. It has SMS capability, so I can send text message reminders. It also has the workflow process capability built in, so I can track where they are in what stages of my essential campaign. So if they come in and let's say we sent them a link to an offer that we have, which is to download our free ebook, they download this book. This form here is also built in to Go High Level. So all the data is being extracted and put into that customer's profile or potential client's profile. And then from there, it takes them to the booking calendar, which is in the consideration stage. And then in that consideration stage, I actually have pre-qualifying form questions that would tell me if they're a good fit or not, right? Now, the reason why that's important is because 30 minutes of my time is worth a lot of money. Now, if I'm going to spend 30 minutes on a call, it has to be, again, a call that makes sense and basically worth my time to be on. But the unique thing about this, right, is that we actually have call takers that actually will go through this process, right, that we bring in, and once they schedule that call taker has a script, right, that we actually created because, again, we understand the questions and the pain points, and we truly understand the audience of that who we're targeting with this particular offer, that they're going to go through and they can master that script. They'll understand the objections that are coming. They'll understand what conversations that they need to how to direct the conversation depending on what objections that they're getting or what pains that they're basically addressing during that conversation. Now, the reason why that's important is because by us having a sales script, that generally means that we understand everything about our client, right? We understand how to best understand where to position them, how to position them, so that they get all the information, the data, and also by them completing the form in advance. If they do get qualified based off of filling out the form, they'll get a confirmation email saying, yes, your call has been scheduled. You're going to be meeting with X, Y, and Z person. And from there, there's going to be another set of instructions going out. So to my point, literally, you can see like there's tons of information, there's tons of data that's being extracted for us to be able to analyze how effective is an actual campaign, how effective is our marketing strategy, right? In order to get them to actually make a purchase, or they're just a lost client, right? A lost potential lead. That doesn't necessarily mean that we can't do business with them at another point in time. It just means that depending on what that loss criteria was, we would have a different process. Maybe that they're not in the position to make a financial commitment. Maybe they're not in the position, to start their business and grow it, right? So now, by us understanding the information, the data that's being extracted, it allows us to now put them in a different pool where we can continue to pour value and information, give them information on tips, tricks, different systems and tools, things that they can leverage in order to, again, get them to making another decision and also continuing to stay on top of that awareness level within our business so that they know that we exist. So whenever they are ready, that they can always reach back out and then we can continue that conversation, right? And then at that point, they probably would end up making a purchase and then become a loyal customer, right? So again, some of the tech stacks that you probably see and probably don't see here, we use Vimeo. So any videos we record, we upload it there. We can take embedded code, embed it onto the landing page. Slack is another aspect of it that's also built into our tech stack. So anybody who, anytime we have new projects that come in, once something gets booked, it goes into our Slack channel, and that's pre-built in. Again, that's a Zapier link between Go High Level and Slack, and literally it just gets uploaded there. Our team will know that there's a new project that's in. Our project manager will get information about it, and then literally everybody else would know what's coming. And because we have a timeline of what a project's supposed to take, once that project comes in, it gets applied to that project, so that everybody knows what their role is. So again, this goes down to a far more deeper level of really just understanding that there's so much that you could be doing. And again, if I didn't invest the time and the resources and the people to build these things out, a lot of this stuff, imagine doing all of this manually. It would be a lot. Picking up the phone, calling everybody, sending text messages when my day got busy, following up, trying to get people to make a purchase, following up to try to get people to schedule a call. Well, like, it's just, imagine like how much time I'm saving, which I am saving a lot of hours from just automating and building and understanding the process, right? So again, for your business, or just as you're thinking through like how to build and grow and scale your business, really just, again, go back to that rule, that square one, that rule number one of just really just identifying, documenting, and auditing your process and figuring out how to make all those improvements. Because trust me, like, it saves so much time and allows you to be more efficient, allows you to spend more time on the things that you want to do in your business, right? How many of you guys are probably feeling like you're doing things in your business that you don't want to do? And of course, there's some things that you can't get away from, right? There are human tasks that has to be done. We get that. But if we can minimize as much of that as possible, how much more efficient would you be, right? We all have the same 24 hours, whether you're a 7-figure earner, 8-figure, 9, 10, $100,000 earner, we all have the same 24 hours. But what matters is what you do with your time, right? And by being able to understand how much your time is worth and how to automate and systemize a lot of your processes, I guarantee you that this will free up so much of your time to be able to do the things that you really love to do, spend more time with your family, be able to go on trips and know that things are working without you having to be there. All these things play a huge part, but it comes back down to making sure that you make the right investments in your systems. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Common pitfalls to avoid. Number one, failing to align systems with business goals. See it happen all the time. Make sure that you understand what your business goals are. If you have a certain number, hey, I need to speak to 10 new people a week. Okay, so you speak to 10 new people a week. What does that mean, right? Are you converting 10% of those? Are you converting 20% of those? And if that is the case, what does your system look like, right? To make sure that you're following your process to converting, whether it's follow-ups, calls, texts, whatever it might be, right? Underestimating the need of delegation. A lot of times, again, as entrepreneurs, we want to wear all the hats. We do not have to wear all the hats in our business. I guarantee you. If you find a way to free up your time, like it will literally help and empower you to be able to do a lot more, right? We do not have to wear all the hats in our business. Ignoring data and metrics. Again, data is a very key and pivotal aspect to a lot of businesses, right? I guarantee you, some of you probably don't even look at your data, right? How many people are coming to your website? How many people are following you on a monthly basis? How many people are responding and opening your emails? All of those things are very important, right, in a business and for you to understand. Choosing the wrong technology. I can tell you this costs so much money, right? If you spend time building a system that you think is going to work for you, but it doesn't work, then now you have to go find another system, right? That you're unsure if it's going to work or not. But again, to avoid that issue, being able to document your process and know what those goals are will make it a lot easier for you to be able to find the right systems and the right tools that will allow you to do these things, right? One example I'll give you, when I first started a company, we were using Wix, right? Now, the reason why we chose Wix was because Wix at the time had email marketing built in. It had booking software booked in. It had an event marketing aspect booked in. It had all these tools that I knew that at some point I'm going to need and use, right? And it allowed me to scale my company until I got to a place where I literally was just like, well, I need better systems. I need more trackable ways to track the data that's coming in. I need more systems that actually understand the process of how to follow up with leads that have come in and basically create drip campaigns. Their email marketing platform wasn't as efficient during that time. So for me, I already knew that if I'm going to take my business to the next level, I have to now invest in more technology. And I did that, right? In order to continue to improve my systems and the things that I needed to do. Overcomplicating systems and not documenting process. We talked about that. Not adjusting systems over time. That is really important. Kid you not, like we're always improving our processes, right? And even as we bring in new talent and more people, we're always finding new ways to understand what are other people's processes, and maybe the process that you probably have might be better than what we're currently doing, right? And being open-minded to that, right? Again, it goes back to the mindset aspect of really knowing that the people that you're serving, including your team, also have ideas. Do not basically shun the ideas of the people on your team, because sometimes those ideas could be the ideas that gets you to that $1 million, that gets you to that, 7 figures or 8 figures in your business, right? So be open-minded to those things so that you can receive more information, because the more information you have, the better you can make a decision, right? Um, so with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up by talking through what we have coming up. So as we can, as you guys can see here, we've had 6 virtual summit events. This was the last one. So I truly thank you guys for being a part of this. And, one thing I do want to highlight here is that our in-person summit event has been moved, right? Originally it was November 8th. It is now on December 21st. It's a Saturday from 9 to 5. Now, I know the holidays is basically that week. And some of you guys may or may not be here, but anyone who has registered already for a ticket, what we are doing, we're actually bumping your ticket to VIP. If you haven't got VIP, and if for those that have gotten obviously VIP tickets already, then we're going to have some added advantage bonuses, which you'll get via email as far as communication for this particular event. And also, really, like, we're just really excited. Like I said, this in-person event, we have a lineup. I think right now we have confirmed about 10 speakers, very high level speakers that are going to be there. Executive coaching. We're going to have AI specialist, CPA, business attorney, systems specialist, HR specialist. All of these specific niche industry companies are going to be there. And they're going to be, like, when I say we're going to be sharing some gems, we're going to have a social media person there talking about literally how to improve your social media if that's something you want to focus on. So overall, like I said, we're going to have a stretch therapist there. We're going to have a psychologist that's going to talk about sales and marketing in your business and how to actually elevate your business and sell more to the ideal client that you're going after. So again, this is going to be the summit, and it's also a bigger venue. We're going to have more people in the room. That was one of the biggest things. We wanted to fill the room, have more people there as well. So again, this is going to be something you guys do not want to miss out on. And we're going to have some giveaways, some prizes, all types of things happening that day. And again, like I said, this is going to be an event where you're going to walk out knowing, and again, this is the ask that I have for every speaker that's coming on the stage for that day, is that you're going to know at least 3 things that you need to know to prepare for in each and every one of these categories in your business, to prepare you for next year so that you can grow and scale your business. So if you don't want to miss out on that, make sure to get your tickets. We do have our early birds. We actually had to reduce the price because, again, we're filling more people into this room for that early bird pass. And again, like I said, if you did get a ticket before, we're automatically bumping you to VIP. So again, if you have any questions, I know we covered a lot today, feel free to drop them in the chat. I would love to answer any questions that you guys may have pertaining to what we covered today about systems and how you can improve your systems. Again, this is being done because we want to support you. Thank you, Jesus. We look forward to seeing you on the 21st as well. Appreciate it. So yeah, feel free to drop any questions that you have in here. Because again, this is an opportunity for us to help pour into you and be able to support you in your journey through this process. Okay, so we do have a question. So how do we systemize the process from booking to closing, like on a call? So there's a couple of ways that we could probably do that, right? So number one is before getting on that call, as I mentioned before, we really have to be able to understand what is the sole purpose of that person joining the call. So the first thing I'll ask is, prior to them scheduling that call, make sure to have preset questions, right, that you're asking, right, on that call, like prior to them filling out that form. A lot of the booking calendars, Calendly is one that a lot of people use, depending on obviously if you're using the free or the paid. It does have the functionality of being able to select and add pre-qualifying questions. So then once they fill that out, then it's a little easier. The other thing around that is depending on where that form is located. So for instance, if you do have a form on your website for specifically booking, and some platforms give you the option to do checkboxes, within those checkboxes, you can also build in systems and automations specifically for those. An example would be that, for instance, for us, somebody fills out a form, they might be looking for graphic design, web design, social media marketing. And through that, if they select a particular one, then they would automatically get entered into that particular funnel, right? Which makes it a little bit easier, because then if they're searching for a logo design or a logo help, then they're going to only get specific emails around that. So then if they don't schedule a call, they'll have multiple opportunities to learn. But then once they are ready to schedule that call, then they'll be able to get on the call. And the call will be a lot more intuitive because they've already had that information. And then based off of the information from them filling out that questionnaire, you'll be able to fine tune how you want to approach that conversation and what you would prefer offering them to help be of service to them in that way. So that would be one thing. But I think that was the only question. See, everybody said they're good. They got the information from that. So, and thank you, Joanna, for jumping on as well. I truly appreciate it. Great to have you on the call. And thank you again, Jesus, for being there. Thank you, Catalina. Thank you to everyone else who's joined. And if, again, we're here as a resource, please feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. We're here to support you and make this journey, to growing your business to success. And if you have, again, anything else, please feel free to reach out either through WJJ Brands, or you can find me on WendellJean-Jules.com. Either or, we're here to support and be of service to you. So thank you. And thank you all who have joined throughout the summit. And we look forward to seeing you guys on December 21st to kick off our first in-person Hustle to Grow Summit event. So thank you guys.